5 years ago, I made a plan, a decision,
What is love really?
a goal. So here I sit, successful in all ways.
What is love really?
Not because I haven't failed so many times. My plan was successful because I failed so, so many times. Yet here I sit before you, a very accomplished failure. What's up, Buttercups, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, you picked a good time to hop on. I'm at the tail end of a big transition period, and I'm about to, right now, make several life-changing announcements, starting with my road trip in Washington with Amanda and Frank. I already uploaded my video about Utah and Nevada, and we blasted through Oregon, and I didn't intend on making a video for Oregon because last year I made the whole Oregon bounding series, so you can go back and check out all that stuff. It's very good road trip things. I intended on making one single Washington video, but so much happened in Utah and Nevada, and so much more happened in Washington. Everything that happened leading up to Washington came to a head. Several heads, in fact, on the Olympic coast. Our time together ended on the Washington coast. The next chapter of my life starts on the Washington coast. That's right, Buttercups. I'm hiking the Pacific Northwest Trail this summer. If you aren't familiar, the PNT is a 1,200-mile long trail from the Olympic Wilderness Coast in Washington to Glacier National Park in Montana. The PNT, just like the Continental Divide Trail, is a choose-your-own-adventure trail. And ever since I hiked the CDT in 2022, every trail I hike is a choose-your-own-adventure trail. So, while most people hike westbound from the Divide to the coast in a 3 to 4 month period, I plan to hike eastbound from the Olympic Peninsula to East Glacier Park, Montana. My route will be around 1,400 miles, and I hope to do that in a 4 to 5 month period. The resupplied towns are plentiful and not as spread out as most other long distance trails, which will allow me to hike slower and really enjoy the trail. It'll also allow me to better share my hike with anybody that's interested. However, currently I am limited on what I can produce. I have a great desire to make better content, better music, better videos. Up to this point, I've used that limitation as a way to be more creative and prolific. Now, as I transition, I would like to level up. I need to upgrade. I've been putting off starting a Patreon for years now, mostly because freedom is important to me, and asking people to give me money for art has been a struggle. But as for now, as I progress towards making better quality art, I need help. I thought that this would be a good way to connect with people in a way that allows them to be a part of my adventures. It's also a way that helps me touch more people with my words, music, and videos. Help me spread the love that you have all brought to me. It also goes without saying that maintaining proper nutrition on a 1,000+ mile hike is expensive. So this also allows you to help me have a happy, healthy, and strong hike. Everything that I make on Patreon will go into my hike and content, including food, electricity, lodging, and whatnot. I don't really expect anybody to actually commit to any of the membership tiers, but the opportunity is there. So, if you're interested, go ahead and check out my Patreon. Or if you would just prefer to support me directly, like you don't really want or need more content, then you can support me directly via PayPal or Cash App links. All those links are going to be in the description. If you do want more content and benefits, then you should check out the Patreon tiers. At the $5 Buttercup tier, all the tiers will get early access to all my YouTube videos, as well as the $5 tier, the Buttercups tier. You'll get a photo set on top of that. At the $10 Town Coffee tier, you're buying me a coffee and time to upload videos, and as a reward, I will make a coffee tribute video monthly. Then there is the $30 Town Meal tier. You buy me a meal in town, help get me the calories I need to keep going, and as a reward, I will write you a handwritten postcard and send it to you at your home if you want. Plus, you get all the other stuff. At the $50 resupply tier, you are resupplying me, and that is wonderful. And for that, you will get early access to all of my music that I release 1 month before I release it to the public, and you get to download it for free. It's yours. You own it. That's cool. Okay. The very last tier, the hidden secret tier. I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's hidden secret tier. It's not really a hidden and it's not really a secret, but it's $100 and you gotta pay $100 to see it. I don't know. I'm not asking you to do that, but if you want to know what's in there. The final announcement that I will make is the release of my new album, The Emoting Song. It goes live July 1st. The only person that's heard the album so far is my mom, and she said it's a masterpiece. But I'm not sure that I agree fully. I think it's good. It's just that I feel like I've made better albums. Conceptually, it is the most complex thing I've ever done. Here's how I wrote it. The basic idea was to have an album full of regular length songs that play as if they were one long song about emotions, somehow incorporating the theme of art. So essentially, I set out to write an album using color theory. 3 primary colors, and then 9 other colors that are derived from those three, plus 3 hueless colors. In music theory, there's also a wheel called the circle of fifths, and because music theory is very complicated and I don't really want to try to explain it right now, we'll just say that it supposedly works similarly to the color wheel. So what I did is I overlaid the circle of fifths onto a color wheel with the E major chord representing yellow, because I think that yellow sounds E, or E major sounds yellow. Also I used major chords for the warm colors and minor chords for the cool colors. Next was to overlay an emotion wheel. Now there are emotion wheels that have been published, but I think they all kind of miss the mark a bit. I did find one article that briefly mentioned that there may be 3 primary emotions and then hundreds of other emotions that derive from those 3. Now, if that was true, then what would those primary emotions be? I think this would be a good time to say that I am not a scientist, or a therapist, or a psychologist, or have any experience in color theory whatsoever. However, for all intents and purposes, this is all just meant to inform an abstract piece of art that I created. The biggest problem I ran into as far as associating emotions with color is that we already have some presupposed ideas or associations with emotions and color. For example, red is oftentimes associated with anger, but alternately, it is also sometimes associated with love. But neither of these emotions are primary emotions. Let's suppose that anger is the combination of 2 other emotions. Let's say fear and vulnerability. And vulnerability is the combination of fear and sadness. So, anger is equal parts fear and vulnerability, or 2 parts fear, 1 part sadness. If fear and sadness are primary emotion, then what's the third? Well, for the purpose of this album, fear would be red, a warm color. Sadness would be blue, a cool color. And then yellow, a warm, bright color, would be happiness. Fear and happiness equal excitement. Happiness and sadness balance each other out. Contentment. So what about the hueless colors? That is, colors that contain all three of the primaries but have no hue. Black, absence of light; white, all of the light; and gray, a combination of both. The lack of emotion, apathy; an abundance of emotion, empathy; and the combination of both is your perspective. If you have red and you add black, it turns crimson. If you have red and you add white, you get pink. If you have fear and you add empathy, you get caution. If you have fear and add apathy, you get terror. Now all of a sudden, the emotional wheel fits overlaid with the color wheel and the circle of fifths perfectly. The next step is lyrics. Now we're working in circles, so I needed a poetic form that was circular in nature. I found a form. I found a form called a crown of silence, which is 14 sonnets, usually English sonnets, but it can be anything, and that are interconnected. 14 sonnets that are interconnected, plus a 15th sonnet meant to tie everything together. This works perfectly. 12 colors on the wheel, plus 3 hueless colors. We got 15. Let's go. The final step in the conceptual stage was to take this 4-wheel format and create a linear piece of music from it. So I thought about it as if it was a painting on a canvas. I would use complementary chords to show contrast. I would use analogous emotions to show harmony. I would use monochromatic colors to invite people into the music. At this point, as far as actually writing the music, it was just plug and play. And as far as the recording goes, it was pretty simple. So, if you're still watching this, thank you. I appreciate you. And tune in next week for when I'll start my series on Washington with Amanda and Frank. I don't want to give too much away, but I will say that throughout the series there will be a canid theme, and next week is wolf. Ooh.